She slept under a bridge in a country that did not know her name. Cold, hungry, afraid. Binto was trafficked to Korea against her will and left to survive alone on the streets. No money, no family, no hope. Then one night, a poor Korean man sat beside her and shared his food. Neither of them knew they were hiding secrets that could change everything. Backhand index pointing right, like, subscribe, and comment your country, because this story will break your heart and heal it before the end. She ran. Her feet slapped hard against the cold pavement as rain poured from the sky. Her breath came out in short, broken gasps. Behind her, voices shouted in a language she barely understood. A car door slammed. Headlights flashed. Stop, a man yelled. Binto did not stop. She ran harder, her chest burning, her legs shaking, her heart beating so fast it felt like it would burst. Her hands were numb. Her thin jacket was soaked. Her hair stuck to her face as tears mixed with rain. She turned sharply into a dark alley and fell. Her knees hit the ground. Pain shot through her body. She bit her lip to stop herself from screaming. She crawled behind a pile of trash and held her breath. The footsteps passed. Silence. Binto pressed her hand over her mouth and cried without sound. If you're watching this right now, take 1 second to like this video, subscribe and comment where you're watching from. This story is long, emotional and powerful, and you don't want to miss the ending. She was alone, in a foreign country, with no passport, no money, no home. Just 3 weeks ago, Binto had believed her life was about to change for the better. She had lived in a small town in Zimbabwe. Life was hard, but she had hope. When a woman promised her a job in Korea, she believed it was her miracle. They said she would work in a restaurant. They said she would earn good money. They said she would send money home. She never saw the lie. The moment she landed in Korea, everything changed. Her passport was taken. Her phone was taken. She was locked in a room. Men came and went. She cried. She begged. No one listened. One night, the door was left unlocked. That was the night she ran. Now, she was shaking behind trash bags in an alley in Seoul, hugging her knees, whispering to herself, "Please God, please don't let them find me." Hours later, the rain stopped. Binto slowly stood up. Her body hurt everywhere. She walked with no direction, just moving so she would not collapse. She passed bright shops, tall buildings, people laughing under umbrellas. No one looked at her. She finally sat down under a bridge as the sun began to rise. That bridge became her home. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Binto learned how to survive without being seen. She learned which restaurants threw food away at night. She learned which streets were safer to sleep on. She learned to stay quiet. Sometimes people shouted at her. Sometimes they ignored her. Sometimes they stared. At night, she talked to herself so she would not forget her voice. "I will live," she whispered often. "I will not die like this." She started learning Korean by listening. She listened to people talk. She watched screens in shop windows. She repeated words under her breath. One winter night, she thought she would die. Snow fell heavily. Her fingers were purple. Her lips were blue. She curled into herself and cried. A woman passed by and dropped a scarf near her without a word. That scarf saved her life. 3 years passed. 3 years of pain. 3 years of fear. 3 years of silence. Then one day, everything shifted. Binto found a broken phone in a trash bin. It still worked when charged. She found free Wi-Fi spots. At night, while others slept, she watched videos and learned skills. She learned slowly, carefully, quietly. She failed many times. She cried many nights. But she did not stop. Years later, no one would believe where she came from. But for now she was still invisible. One evening, after a long day of cleaning tables illegally at a small shop, Binto walked into a convenience store to warm up. Her clothes were old. Her shoes were worn. She held a few coins tightly in her hand. She stood in front of the instant noodles, counting again and again. "Too much," she whispered. Her stomach growled. Suddenly, the noodles slipped from her hands and fell to the floor. She froze. "I'm sorry," she said quickly in broken Korean. I clean. I clean." She dropped to her knees. Before she could touch the mess, A hand appeared in front of her. "It's okay," a calm voice said. "I'll pay for it." She looked up. The man was tall. His hair was slightly messy. His clothes were simple. His eyes were kind. He smiled gently. "You don't have to clean," he said. "It was an accident." Binto stared at him, shocked. No one had spoken to her like that in years. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm Unwoo," he said. "Are you okay?" She nodded, unable to speak. Unwoo paid for the noodles and handed one to her. "Eat," he said. "You look cold." They sat outside on a small bench. Steam rose from the cups. They ate quietly. For the first time in years, Binto felt warm. Not just her body, her heart. 3 minutes in. If this story is already touching you, like the video, subscribe, and comment your country below. Your support helps stories like this reach more people. Unwoo broke the silence. "You don't talk much," he said softly. She smiled a little. "I listen more." He laughed quietly. "That's rare." They talked that night. Simple things. Weather. Food. Life. He did not ask her where she lived. She did not ask him about his work. They met again. And again. Slowly, carefully, two broken souls began to walk together. Neither of them knew the truth. And when the truth came, it would change everything. They began meeting almost every evening. Always the same convenience store. Always cheap noodles. Always quiet smiles. Unwoo never asked why Binto wore the same clothes every week. He never asked where she slept. He never looked at her with pity. He spoke to her like she mattered. That alone made her heart ache. One night, as they sat watching cars pass, Unwoo sighed. "Do you ever feel like life cheated you?" he asked. Binto looked at him. She wanted to laugh. She wanted to cry. "Yes," she said softly. "Every day." He nodded. "Me too." She studied his face. "But you smile a lot." He smiled again, but this time it didn't reach his eyes. "If I don't smile, people ask questions." Binto understood that too well. They started walking together after eating. Sometimes just around the block. Sometimes to the river. They talked about dreams they never said out loud before. "I want a quiet life," Unwoo said once. "No pressure. No lies." Binto swallowed hard. "I want peace." Neither of them said more. Weeks turned into months. Binto began to feel something dangerous growing inside her. Hope. She hated it. Hope had hurt her before. One evening, as they walked under streetlights, Unwoo suddenly stopped. "Binto," he said. "Yes. If I'm me like this." She laughed softly. "You are poor." He smiled. "I mean, if I stay poor forever." She stopped walking and looked at him seriously. "I don't care about money," she said. "I care about how someone treats me." Unwoo felt his chest tighten. "What if I have nothing?" he asked. She stepped closer. "Then we will have nothing together." He looked away quickly so she wouldn't see the tears in his eyes. That night, Binto cried alone. She was lying on a bed. Not under a bridge. Not on cardboard. A real bed. A clean room. A quiet space. She stared at the ceiling and whispered, "I'm falling in love." But Binto was not poor. Not anymore. Years of silent work had paid off. The business she started online had grown beyond her imagination. Investors trusted her. Deals crossed borders. Her company made millions. She was a CEO. A powerful one. But she wore old clothes. She took buses. She ate noodles. Because the moment people knew who she was, everything changed. She had learned that the hard way. Unwoo did not know the truth. Just like she did not know his. Unwoo lived in a small rented room. Or at least, that's what he showed her. He worked odd jobs. Or at least, that's what he said. But sometimes Binto noticed things. The way he spoke calmly under pressure. The way people greeted him with respect without knowing why. The way his phone rang, and he never answered it around her. One night she asked, "Why don't you talk about your family?" Unwoo stiffened. "They are complicated," he said. She nodded. "Mine too." That was enough. 5 minutes in. If this story is pulling at your heart, like the video, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. This helps the story reach more people who need hope. Their love grew quietly. No gifts. No promises. Just presents. One night, rain poured again, just like the night she escaped years ago. Binto froze when thunder cracked. She dropped her cup. Unwoo rushed to her side. Hey, he said gently. You're shaking. She tried to smile but couldn't. I hate the rain, she whispered. He wrapped his jacket around her without thinking. It's okay, he said. You're safe. The words broke her. She started crying. Hard. Ugly. Uncontrolled. People stared. Unwoo didn't care. He held her tightly. I'm here, he said over and over. I'm here. That night, she told him part of the truth. Not everything. I came to Korea because someone lied to me, she said. I lost everything. Unwoo clenched his fists. Did someone hurt you? She hesitated, then nodded. I'm sorry, he said, his voice shaking with anger. I wish I had met you sooner. She smiled sadly. Me too. They started officially dating after that. Nothing changed. Still noodles. Still walks. Still quiet love. But the world was watching. One morning, Binto woke up to her phone vibrating non-stop. Her assistant's name flashed on the screen. She answered. Ma'am, the woman said urgently. There's a leak. Binto sat up. What kind of leak? Your identity, the assistant said. The media found out you're in Korea. Binto's heart dropped. No, she whispered. Not now. Across the city, Unwoo was standing in front of a large glass building, staring at headlines on a screen. Chaebol Air disappears from public eye. His face was everywhere. He clenched his jaw. They found me, he whispered. 2 secrets. 1 city. 1 love built on lies meant to protect hearts. The collision was coming. And when it hit, it would shatter everything they believed about each other. Binto stared at her phone long after the call ended. Her hands shook. She had prepared for many things in life, but not this. Not now. Not when her heart finally felt calm. She stood up, paced the room, then stopped. What do I do? She whispered. Her phone buzzed again. Messages flooded in. Emails. Missed calls. Her face was already online. Articles were spreading fast. Zimbabwean CEO secretly living in Korea. Her chest tightened. Unwoo. She grabbed her bag and rushed out. Across town, Unwoo sat alone on a bench, staring at his phone. His family's number kept calling. He ignored it. I told you to come back. His father's voice echoed in his head. This nonsense ends now. He laughed bitterly. Nonsense. That's what they called the life he chose. Then he saw it. A video. Binto. Well-dressed. Confident. Standing on a stage. The woman he ate noodles with. The woman who said money didn't matter. CEO Binto Moyo speaks on global trade, the caption read. His stomach dropped. No, he whispered. He watched the video again. And again. Her voice was steady. Strong. Powerful. Nothing like the quiet woman who sat beside him every night. His chest hurt. Was it all fake? He asked himself. He stood up suddenly. I need answers. They met by accident, or maybe fate was tired of hiding. Binto turned a corner and froze. Unwoo stood there, his phone in his hand, his face pale. Neither of them spoke. The air felt heavy. Finally, Unwoo held up the phone. Is this you? He asked. Binto's throat closed. Yes, she said. Silence. So you're rich, he said slowly. Yes. He laughed, but there was no joy in it. All this time, he said. You let me believe you were struggling. She stepped closer. I was struggling. Just not with money. He stepped back. You lied, he said. So did you, she replied quietly. He froze. What? She looked at him. You're not just some poor man doing odd jobs. His eyes widened. You knew. I suspected, she said. But I didn't care. He ran a hand through his hair. My family is powerful, he admitted. I ran away from that life. She nodded. I hid from mine. They stared at each other. Everything felt broken. Did you love me? He asked suddenly. Her eyes filled with tears. Yes. When? He demanded. When you thought I was poor. Or when you knew who I was. I loved you when you handed me noodles, she said, her voice shaking. When you sat with me in silence. When you held me in the rain. He clenched his jaw. But you didn't trust me, he said. She cried. I was scared, so was I, he shouted. But I told you my pain. They stood there, breathing hard. People passed by, unaware that two hearts were breaking. 3 minutes in. If you're feeling this tension, like the video, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Your support keeps this story going. Eunwoo turned away. I need time, he said. She reached for him. Please. He stopped but didn't turn back. Everything I loved was simple, he said. Now I don't know what's real. He walked away. Binto collapsed onto a bench and sobbed. Days passed. No calls. No messages. The media storm grew. Eunwoo was dragged back into his world. Meetings. Cameras. Expectations. Binto returned to hers. Boardrooms. Interviews. Pressure. But both felt empty. One night, Eunwoo stood in a tall office, staring at city lights. Is this what you want? His mother asked gently. He shook his head. I want her. Then go to her, she said. Meanwhile, Binto sat alone in her apartment, staring at the scarf she once received under a bridge. Her assistant knocked softly. Ma'am, there's a charity gala tomorrow. For trafficked women. Binto's heart skipped. She whispered, I'll attend. The next night, the room filled with powerful people. And then, Eunwoo walked in. Their eyes met. The room faded. He walked toward her. I'm sorry, he said softly. I was angry. But I realized something. She looked up at him, afraid to hope. I didn't fall in love with your past, he said. Or your money. He took her hand. I fell in love with you when you had nothing. Tears streamed down her face. And I fell in love with you when you thought you were nothing, she said. They stood together as the crowd applauded. Not for wealth, but for survival. Not for status, but for love. Halfway through this story, if you've stayed this long, like, subscribe, and comment your country. The ending will be worth it. The hardest part was still coming. Because love is easy. But healing takes courage. The room stayed quiet after the applause faded. Binto and Eunwoo were still holding hands. For the first time, neither of them felt the need to hide. Later that night, they stood outside under soft lights. The city buzzed around them, but it felt far away. I never wanted money to be the reason someone loved me. Eunwoo said quietly. Binto nodded. Neither did I. I was scared that if people knew who I was, they would only see my success, not my scars. He looked at her gently. I saw your scars even when you smiled. She swallowed hard. I thought you would leave if you knew. I did leave, he admitted. And that was my mistake. They stood in silence for a moment. Can you forgive me? He asked. She searched his face. Can you forgive me too? He smiled softly. I already did. They hugged. Not the kind of hug people give in public, but the kind that heals old wounds. Weeks passed. The world slowly moved on from the headlines, but their lives changed forever. Eunwoo faced his family. I'm not giving up who I am, he told his father firmly. And I won't walk away from the woman I love. His father stared at him for a long time. She's strong, his father finally said. Stronger than I expected. That was his way of giving approval. Binto stood in front of a group of women one afternoon. Women who had stories like hers. Women who survived. I was once where you are, she said, her voice steady but warm. And if I am standing here today, it means your story doesn't end in pain. The women cried. She cried with them. Eunwoo watched from the back of the room, his eyes full. That night, he took her back to the convenience store where they first met. The same bench. The same lights. He handed her a cup of noodles and smiled. Poor date, he teased. She laughed. The best one. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ring. No cameras. No crowd. Just them. Binto, he said softly. I don't want a perfect life. I want a real one. With you. She covered her mouth as tears fell. Yes, she whispered. 1,000 times yes. They married quietly. Zimbabwean music mixed with Korean tradition. 2 cultures. 1 love. Years later, Binto stood on a stage again, but this time, Eunwoo stood beside her. Behind them was a banner for their foundation, a place for trafficked women. A place for healing. A place for new beginnings. Love didn't save me, Binto said into the microphone. But love reminded me why I survived. Eunwoo squeezed her hand. They looked at each other and smiled. From the streets, to silence, to survival, to love. And if you're still watching right now, thank you for staying till the end. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need hope. Because sometimes, the poorest love is the richest story of all.